yourself first. For centuries, the airline industry has been telling us put your own oxygen mask on first, and only then do you help others. It's rational, it's sound advice, because if you can't help yourself, you can't be available to help anyone else. It almost seems like it would be common sense, doesn't it? But because we're compassionate and we're empathetic as people, does that get in the way of our own self care, of our taking care of ourselves, of putting ourselves first? And before we answer that question and talk about it, I'll give you a brief introduction. I am Teresa Palmer, and I have been guest hosting on the Own It platform on Motivational Mondays and for the Author's Corner on Tuesday. And I'm happy to be here with everyone. I am a holistic cardiology nurse practitioner. I connect individuals to their heart, and in doing so, I connect them to the power to live their best life, the power for change. And I bridge Eastern traditions with traditional Western cardiology. So my patients get the best of both worlds. And with that, and I'm author of the book, Heal Your Heart from Within. So with all that said, I'm going to let my partner in crime today introduce himself, and then we'll start the conversation.
Thanks, Teresa. And also thank you for being a fabulous guest host while our master of ceremonies is, putting attention into some other things, and she'll be joining us again very, very soon. But I'm Dr. Jeffrey E. Berger, and that is an honorary doctorate. I live in Southwest Florida, and I am the CEO and founder of Abundance and Optimum Wellness, where I believe we all should be living a life of abundance and optimum wellness, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And my journey over the last couple of years has really been focused on a finance-first approach to overall well-being, because I believe that there are tools and resources out there for people to be able to leverage to creating that type of a lifestyle. And taking that finance first approach with the dynamic changes in our financial world today, along with everything else that's going on, I am more of a crypto blockchain strategist, where I help direct people to getting the right information about what's going on in the world with technology, along with digital currency or cryptocurrency. It's great to be here with you today.
Okay, and putting yourself first.
Yes.
Do you go along with what is said about if you can't help yourself, you can't be available to help anyone else?
Yes, I definitely agree with that tremendously, because this is something that I've struggled throughout my own life. And growing up as a baby boomer, we were taught so many things: do this, do that, don't do that. And I just found over time that I didn't put myself first, and we shouldn't be ashamed, because for many, many years, I was ashamed by putting myself first, or thinking about putting myself first, I should say. And that really all came to fruition when I was in 2018, to be truthful, was when I made some massive changes to my health and decided not to follow a Western medicine protocol, because it wasn't, after 20 years, getting me to where I really wanted to go. And so you can't pour from an empty cup, as they say. And when you consistently neglect your own needs, it leads to burnout, resentment, and emotional exhaustion, which is what I truly experienced in 2015 when I was leaving corporate America. I was totally burnt out from hostile, toxic work environments, because it was work, 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 get it done, and just think about the company and the projects that I was on, and not focusing on my own. So I believe in my journey, I'm still evolving through this, which is the beautiful part of this, is that we as individuals, I believe that we should be prioritizing more of our rest, our mental health, and the boundaries that really protect your energy so you can show up more, to be present, to be patient, and generous in your relationships, work, and community.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And you touched on something about the emotional burnout, but what about the physical? I mean, when we are out of balance, we do contribute to illness and disease. Okay, there's certain
Right.
things we can't do anything about. If my ceiling caves in right now, there's nothing I could do about that except try to get out of the way.
Right.
That's different than if I'm constantly burning the candle at both ends, if I'm not taking care of myself, if I'm not paying attention to things, you burn out your body. And by that, I mean you've got hormones in your body, you've got
Right.
not only organs, but you've got different hormones, you've got your thyroid, you've got your pancreas, you've got your pituitary gland. When those get out of whack, they disrupt your entire body. Over a
Right.
period of time, they're
Yeah.
going to cause a physical illness. And it may
Exactly.
not be 6 months from now, a year from now, maybe 2, 3 years from now. So we really have to be mindful of what we do. And I think when it comes to putting ourselves first, like you said, there's a lot of guilt about it. And I think we saw that in 2020. We saw where if you dared to put yourself first, oh my goodness, you were chastised.
Right.
And, you know, we realized at that point what a fallacy it was. Well, actually, I think it took a few years to realize what a fallacy that was. And it
Exactly.
really wasn't about putting yourself first. It was about other things.
Right.
But, with everything that goes on, I think a lot of times that our compassion and our empathy kind of gets us confused with, well, if there's all this going on in the world, if there's people starving, should I really be worrying about whether I'm getting the proper nutrition or I'm eating organic because of X, Y, and Z, but yet somebody on the other side of the world is starving? Is that fair? So I think sometimes our compassion, our empathy, our feelings are fitting into the world kind of then makes us feel like, well, if I'm spending time putting myself first, maybe I'm not doing enough to help out the world. But we have to change starts with us. So we have to
Correct.
be individually the change we want to see in the world. And
Right.
I'll
Yeah.
turn
No.
it to you.
Yeah. No. You're absolutely correct on that. And I've thought about those things over the last number of years here, and thinking about the global devastation that's out there. But then, really, what is the root cause of that? And as I talk about circumventing the system, during my journey, is we live in a world of broken and corrupt systems that are benefiting a small minority group, and everybody else is suffering from that. And when I really stepped into that, again, I talk about my uncomfortable zone, which I've had to jump into many, many times. This is where you grow from that, because you're learning something different. We were brought up and we were taught specific things, and to trust and believe in those. But guess what? Reality is here, and those things aren't really working out as they said that they would. And we as individuals just have so much that we can do to change the world. It's going to take the masses to do that. However, with that being said, being a part of that journey and helping share the information, and participating in different events to bring those bring that forward for the betterment of humanity, is where we all should be. Or I shouldn't say we all should be. It is an option, but again, for me personally, this is my own opinion. There should be more involvement from, instead of these upper echelons reaching out to the masses saying, donate here, donate there, do this, do that. Well, wait a minute. Where are you donating? Where are your monies going to? So, and that could be a whole different ball game, or another topic for another time. But um, looking at the bigger picture, because most of my life I was like this, do that, and you know, I've come to find out that I need to do this 365, and that's what's really opened up my eyes to the what I call the true state of affairs of what's really going on out there.
And I think that we also just need to be concerned. People may take this the wrong way, and I hope not. But it's not that we don't care about what's going on in the world.
Right.
I think
Yep.
we all do.
Absolutely.
But there's not a whole lot that we could really do to change it. I know a lot of times people will feel if they go out and demonstrate, if they do things, but are they really making a change? Or are they just contributing to the chaos? And a lot
Right.
of times they're just contributing to the chaos. So I'm not saying don't care about other people, but I think everything
Exactly.
starts in our own backyard and it
Right.
starts with us. And we have to work on making ourselves the best that we could be, the healthiest that we could be, have the best life that we possibly can, whoop, let my dog down here,
Yeah.
regardless of the circumstances. So
Exactly.
yeah, so we really
Yeah.
do need to put ourselves first. And we really do need to understand that we can't save the world. You know, we honestly cannot save the world. And for a dialogue like that to even be put out there is ridiculous.
You're absolutely correct, and this has been going on for centuries. You know, it's just it just evolving from century to century, and there's just so much that you can really do. Unfortunately, it's sad to see it, but that's the reality. Again, the true state of affairs.
Yeah, you know, it's tough. Like the work that we work with people trying to get people, or not trying to get, we work with people to help them achieve what they want in life, whether it be better health. I work with a lot of people around transformation, lasting change, and that starts with engagement with the heart. You know, you have to have that engagement. If you just do superficial things, they work temporarily, but then you're back to square one. And unfortunately, we see a lot of that. So, in helping people, a lot of times they have trouble
Hmm.
accepting things
Right.
because we are conditioned not only to look outside ourselves for the answers, but we're also conditioned to do everything for everybody else. You know, it's like even with caretaking, God forbid a caretaker, and I went through this when I was younger, that caretaking was just too much for me. And my mother had too many problems,
Mm,
medical problems that I couldn't handle. I
right.
mean, you would need around the clock staff, you would need this, you would need that. Well, the best thing for her was a private nursing home. I mean, it costs money, but you would not believe the flack that I got from people. Oh, she's your mother. You should take care of your mother. Why can't you do it? You're out there working all the time. Quit your job, take care of your mother, do this, do that. But that's not what it was. And people didn't really realize that sometimes we think we're helping people,
Right.
but we're not. I
Right.
did a little bit of home health when I first moved to Alabama, and people thought they were doing the best for their loved ones. But in all honesty, one day I walked into a house, a woman was deceased, and her daughter was making her breakfast. Her daughter didn't even realize that her mother was deceased.
Oh my gosh.
So even though we try to do the best, it's overwhelming. The
Right.
woman couldn't handle her own children, try to handle taking care of her mother, but yet she was told by her family that she had to do this. And the amount of guilt that she had was unbelievable when really she wasn't to blame for her mother's death at all. But
Correct.
yet, you know, she was overwhelmed with the task of trying to take care of her mother, but yet she didn't want to put herself first. and ask for any help.
Yeah, we ran into a similar situation with my mom, and those types of changes in a person's life can be very, very stressful, especially if you are like the sole caretaker, and being set with that responsibility and getting no help. Um, and it comes to a point where, luckily for us, we didn't have to put her into a nursing home. There were some of us that were rotating. I went up there and lived there for a year, and went up there from time to time, helping her, for a couple of months. But people don't understand the stress that it does cause, and it is a big, big responsibility. But there is a time when that has to shift, from home care into a nursing home, and that happened with my brother. My middle brother, who was diagnosed, he was MS. He had MS, and my mother just couldn't take care of him anymore because he had to be lifted out of bed, so forth and so on. So he had to be moved to a nursing home, and he was there for 11 years before he succumbed to 4 types of cancer,
Mm.
unfortunately. So yeah, she did her very, very best, and that's all you can ask for. And it was the best move for him, because it really got him actually into a more of a social
Right.
environment where he can get out and talk with the people in the nursing home, which was very, very good for him mentally, because he was still very mentally alert.
Right.
So that was prioritizing him, and getting into that situation where he was more in control of his environment than staying in a bedroom, or a 1 bedroom apartment off my mom's house.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. My situation was I was an only child. My mother was almost 40 years old when she had me.
Wow.
So most of my family, it was small to begin with, and most of them had died. So here I was left as the sole person. I
Right.
had good guidance because I had a very good friend who was a chaplain at the hospital. And, he had told me, he said, it's not your job to take care of your mother. It's your job to see that she could be taken care of well. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
you if you can't do it. And he said, if you burn out, your mother has nobody. And that was the absolute truth. If I would have burnt out or something would have happened to me, my mother would have been left. It was
Right.
really
Yeah.
just the two of us at that point. Um, everybody else around was either dead or estranged from my father's side of the family. So there was really nothing. But you do feel guilt with all that, but then again, we have to take care of ourselves. We're the only ones that could really take care of ourselves. Other
Exactly.
people could advocate for us.
Sure.
They could be the advocates, but in the long run, we're the ones that have to take care of ourselves. And I think the more that we could do to help ourselves, the more that we can do then to help others, to be present, to be able to help others advocate for what they need also and give them support.
Yeah,
And
that's a really good point, Teresa, and I'll add on to that, where I think this perfectly fits into the aspect of setting limits, and learn it's okay to say no, because that's something that I struggled with for many, many years. I didn't set limits on my time and energy, and my emotional labor, because it was always about them and not about me. So, and that is, a pathway to leading to self destruction, like burnout and wear and tear on your body, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, even. And then it was very difficult for me to say no to many, many people, during my journey, because I didn't want to cause any hard feelings or disrupt anything, or I wanted to please. And we don't have to be in that situation. And it's still difficult for me. I'm much better, I'm learning along the way, even though I'm 71 now. But it is okay to set limits and be able to have more control over your own self. Because if you don't have that, then you can't share that with people that you're working with, and you can't share that expertise and that experience if you haven't had that to share with them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, it really is that setting limits. And I have an example. I play pickleball and we have a group. On paper, the group looks great. We have enough people to fill three courts of four people each, but we don't really have that because a lot of the people don't have the time to
Mm.
play pickleball. But yet they didn't want to say no when somebody asked them if they wanted to be in the group. So
Well,
it's like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. But you work full time. Like, how are you going to work full time and play pickleball in the morning or even play after work when you're exhausted? It really doesn't work out. But yet we had a number of people that said, oh, yeah, 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 I'll play. But they don't play because they
right.
can't play because of constraints and other
Sure.
responsibilities, but they don't want to turn people down. They
Right.
want to, oh, I would love to play, but I can't. So I did that at one point in my life. And then what I started doing was if I can't do something, I let people know. I would
Right.
love to do this, but right now I have too much responsibility, or I'm not going to be able to show up on a regular basis, and I'm not going to do the team any good because I'm not going to be able to be there.
Right.
And people understand that more. And I think when we do set limits, people don't get mad. They understand because we're empowered and we're showing them that we also have our own power and we
Hmm.
could stand in our power and our truth. And people do appreciate that. I don't think people really appreciate people that are pushovers, that can't stand on their own, that will do everything to try to please everybody. I think that's where you get taken advantage of. What are your thoughts on that?
I would definitely agree with that. I've had some situations where I've been taken advantage of, and I didn't realize it until after the fact. But again, it's part of that journey, life's journey of learning and really being more, um, insightful to what's going on in your life. Thinking to yourself, in mind, oh, they would never do that. They would never say that, but they do, and it's just a fact of life. And I would get, and then I'd get emotional about it. I get stressed out, and then I finally got to the point. You know what? This isn't worth it. And you build relationships, and you see who is there for you and who is there not for you, and that's okay if they're not there for you because we're not here to float everybody's boat. We're here to commingle and cohabitate and be able to share our experiences between each other and with those who are following us on social media, because there are those people who are looking to level up, and become the hopefully become the CEO of their own life, which is what we need to do. I encourage people to do. I don't like to say we need to do this or you have to do that. I'm trying to get away from those words. It's like we're sharing what we're learning from leaders in the industry who are able to, you know, um, share their life and their experience, and you can have those. And this is where, again, I go back to the beginning when I talk about tools and resources. There are a lot of tools and resources that are out there that are available because we grow up in an indoctrinated system that is teaching us all wrong. I'm sorry, but there's a lot of wrong with our educational system, and there needs to be change to it. Hopefully, that will happen at some point. But uh, and that's what I love about being an entrepreneur is that we can think out of we have to think out of the box to be able to move forward, because I was behind a desk for almost 30 years working for corporate America, being a puppet, and there are too many puppets out there. And There, I believe that we all were put here for a reason, and to be able to find that reason. And if it's working for corporate America, that's fine. But I got to the point where, you know what, this isn't working for me. I want to be able to provide and leave this world having made some changes, having provided value for individuals, not fill the pockets of corporate America.
Yeah, I think what it all comes down to is being authentic. And we've talked about that's been an ongoing theme in our
Right.
motivational Mondays is the fact that, authenticity, being real, being empowered. And we're the only ones that can empower ourselves. It
Yes.
comes from within us. Other people can't give us power.
Right.
They can't give it to us. The power has to come from inside of us. And we need to be, I hate to use that word too, but there's a need for authenticity. There's a need for self acceptance. And there's really a need for self empowerment. And we need to really look at those things in our lives and see where are we gaining with that and where do we fall short. So
Right.
it's like taking a little inventory of your life, what you're doing, how you're doing it, what's going on, and are there things that can be changed? If there's things that can't be changed, then really have to go with the flow at that
Right.
point.
Yes.
There's not much you could do about it. But to really just take stock of ourselves, take stock of our lives, and just look at ourselves.
Hmm.
And like looking in a mirror, what do you see reflected back to you? Is there room for improvement? I believe there's room for improvement in everybody, where
Oh, sure.
nobody is perfect. So, and where could we get that improvement? What do we need to do
Right.
within ourselves? Because once we enhance our lives, then we're able to be there and we become that light in the world that shines brightly and enhances other things around us. So, what are your parting words for our audience?
So my parting words, yes, self-care. It's you should not be ashamed of focusing on yourself because you are the priority. And if you are not well, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially, I'll throw in there, which is part of my, you know, um, my belief system. You can't be there for others, and uh, I encourage I encourage people to, you know, start becoming comfortable with getting into that uncomfortable zone because that is where growth happens, and so many things flourish in that zone because you come to really realize that you have more to offer than you ever thought possible. And that's has been my experience. And chatting with other individuals who are entrepreneurs, they are saying the same thing. We must step out of that box and get into that uncomfortable zone so we can really flourish. And this is where you're going to flourish more if you want to. If you want to.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for this really inspiring, motivational conversation. What
Thank
we
you.
do here every week on the Own It platform is we talk about self-development, we talk about leadership, we give people information, we give them our experiences, and then they are free to go out what resonates with them, what doesn't resonate with them. Use what they can, put aside what doesn't appeal to them. So I thank you again for this conversation. Thank you for those who listen, and thank you for those who will be watching the replays on social media. Thank you so much. And with that, I will say goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.